Hi, my name is Lee Runchi, and I've lived in the Detroit area all my life. When people think about a landmark that defines Detroit, they might think about the Renaissance Center, or maybe the Spirit of Detroit statue. But I've been coming around here for 20 years, and when I think about Detroit, there's one defining landmark that represents everything that Detroit used to be and everything that Detroit will be. My definition of Detroit is a home, because your home is where your heart lives. And my heart lives at the Ransom-Gillis house. Ransom-Gillis was a dry goods merchant, and he built his house on Alfred Street in Brush Park in 1876. This was the most desirable neighborhood in the city at the time, and this community was affectionately called Little Paris because the homes were inspired by the Parisian designs of the time. There used to be a carriage house in the back that was the original location for a Pewabic pottery in 1903. Around this time, the house changed hands a few times, and the Blue Bloods were starting to migrate to the New Boston Edison neighborhood. The last of them left Alfred Street by 1920. The Ransom-Gillis home was to become a boarding house a year later. That was the fate of a lot of the houses in the neighborhood. But as the years passed, the urban decay started to set in, and you know the story. I discovered the house a couple of years later. I was a student at Wayne State University then, and what I discovered was this burned-out, crumbling ruin just waiting for another chance. By 2004, the roof had finally caved in, the turret followed, and the top of the building was slowly leveling itself. A few years ago, the city finally decided to do something about the area, or what was left of it, I should say. They reassessed the homes and picked the ones that had a chance. Any house that couldn't cut it was marked with a big D for demolition. And after seeing my house, my hope for Detroit, marked with a D, I knew it was over. There was just one thing. At some point, after they put up the D, they put up a sign. And then they put up a new turret and a roof. They were going to save my house. Not just my house, but some of the neighbors too. Today, Brush Park is making a comeback. There are 2 elegant bed and breakfast inns, historic townhouses renovated as condos, and a lot more. Now, I'm not saying that Detroit is perfect. We probably won't be called Little Paris again anytime soon, but you know what? The Ransom-Gillis house is going to be around for a long time, and so am I. We're building the city from the ground up, one house at a time.